Alexander the Great fought the Persian Empire and won, but he ended up ingratiating himself with the Persians, much to the dismay of his own people. So who were these Persians, and do they truly deserve the reputation hoisted onto them by history? The Achaemenid state was founded around 700 BCE by Achaemenes, or Achaemenish in Old Persian. Some historians theorize this figure was purely legendary, and others speculate that he ruled Persis during the first half of the 7th century BCE. The Greek historian Herodotus used the term when referring to one of the 3 clans of the Pasargadae tribe. This information is echoed in the Behistun inscription of Darius I, which reads, "Says Darius the king, my father, Hystaspes, the father of Hystaspes Arsames, the father of Arsames Ariaramnes, the father of Ariaramnes Taspes, the father of Taspes Achaemenes. Therefore, we are called Achaemenids." However, Herodotus lived roughly 300 years after the supposed reign of Achaemenids, and some theorize that Darius I created his lineage to dispel any claims that he was not the rightful king. The foundation legend of Archimedes was that he was abandoned as a small child and raised by an eagle, mirroring many other origin stories in which an animal takes care of and nurtures an important figure. Whether myth or historical fact, many scholars believe that Archimedes ruled Parsamesh and led his armies against the Assyrian king Sennacherib. However the state began, the empire rose up under Cyrus the Great in 550 BCE. Cyrus appears in many historical texts, such as the Cyropedia by the Greek soldier Xenophon. In this text, Cyrus is an ideal monarch, known for his tolerance, and is called the father of his people by the ancient Persians. He is also mentioned in the Bible as the liberator of the Jewish people held captive in Babylon. Cyrus was supposedly related to Archimedes and was born in either Media or Persis in Iran. Cyrus came from a long line of chiefs, and it is believed he was the second of his name to rule, although it is not known whether the name was given to him by his rule or if he was born with it. In addition to Xenophon, Herodotus is an important source of information about Cyrus. The Greeks seem to view Cyrus as an ideal ruler, which is an indication of the admiration that Cyrus's contemporaries had for him. As with many great rulers from that period, Cyrus comes from his own legendary origin story, which follows a clear pattern of folk tales about great leaders. According to the legend, King Astyages of Medes gave his daughter in marriage to a prince of a vassal state. The couple then had a baby boy named Cyrus. Soon after the baby's birth, Astyages had a dream that Cyrus would overthrow him and ordered the baby to be killed. However, the chief advisor tasked to carry out the deed instead gave the baby to a shepherd to raise. At age 10, Cyrus's outstanding qualities led him to be discovered by his grandfather, who was persuaded to let the boy live. Of course, when Cyrus reached manhood, he revolted against his grandfather, who was an unpopular overlord. Astyages' army deserted him, and he was forced to surrender to Cyrus in 550 BCE. In reality, we know little about how Cyrus II came to power. It is thought he was born into the semi-nomadic Pasargadae tribe, which relied on livestock and resided in the southwest of modern-day Iran. Historians aren't entirely sure that Cyrus was born into the Achaemenid royal family, and some think he joined the family by marriage. Historians theorize that Cyrus became a vassal king of the Median Empire in about 558 BCE. He then united the other Persian tribes and led a rebellion against King Astyages. Cyrus was helped by a defecting Median general and took the capital during the Battle of Pasargadae in 550 BCE. Given the context, it is possible that the tale of Cyrus being Astyages' estranged grandson was circulated to lend credence to his rule. The Persians, who were once subjugated people, had become conquerors. Cyrus took to this rule with equal parts leniency and ruthlessness. Some sources claim he allowed Astyages to retire and gave Median nobles high-ranking positions in the new regime. Still, he had Astyages' son-in-law and grandchildren killed, as they directly threatened his power. Sorting fact from fiction is a little tricky regarding ancient history, but once Cyrus gained power, we know that he went on to conquer other tribes. Once he had captured the Median Empire, he then set out to gain control over the Iranian tribes on the Iranian plateau. After the fall of Astyages, King Croesus of Lydia began encroaching on Median territories. Legend has it that Croesus sent a messenger to the Oracle of Delphi, who prophesied, "If Croesus goes to war, he will destroy a great empire." According to some texts, Croesus wanted to keep the Persians in check as their power was growing, and emboldened by the oracle's prediction, he led his army to attack the Persians. However, the oracle had failed to mention which empire would be destroyed. Croesus's attack was unsuccessful, and Cyrus responded by marching against Lydia, surprising the retreating Lydians and capturing its capital Sardis in around 547 BCE. Legend has it that during the decisive Battle of Thymbra, the same Median general who helped Cyrus defeat the Medians instructed the Persian cavalry to mount the baggage camels and place them at the front of the battle line. The story goes the camels smelled so bad that the Lydian cavalry horses bolted from the battlefield, and soon after, the Lydians retreated into Sardis and later surrendered. Sources differ on the fate of Croesus, who either burned himself to death, was killed in battle, or was captured and treated well by Cyrus. Cyrus continued his policy of incorporation rather than eradication. He allowed local laws and cultures to remain, kept the treasury of Sardis, and employed Lydian advisors in his court, including, some say, Croesus himself. In this way, Cyrus was able to assimilate his new conquests quickly. He kept local elites in place as long as they supported his rule, a practice that has been used by many invading forces ever since. At this point, the Achaemenid Empire first clashed with the Greeks. The Ionian Greeks lived on the Aegean coast in modern-day Turkey and had been vassals of the Lydian king. According to Herodotus, the Ionians sent emissaries to Cyrus to request the same terms they had formerly had with Croesus. However, they had previously refused to aid Cyrus in his campaign against Croesus. Cyrus replied by telling them a story of a flute player who saw some fish swimming in the sea and played them a tune to try to entice them to come to shore. When they did not, the flute player caught them in a large net and hauled them ashore. Upon seeing the fish jumping about in the net, he said, "It is too late to dance now. You might have danced to my music, but you would not." The Persian king was reminding the Ionians that he had already offered them a chance to join him, but they were now caught in his net. Despite his flattering portrayal in the Cyropedia as the ideal ruler, Cyrus was like most emperors. While he was tolerant of local religions and customs, his ultimate goal was to extract wealth and labor from the conquered people, including the use of enslaved people. However, this was not uncommon, and the economy of many cultures during that era relied on slavery. Cyrus expanded the Persian Empire through military strength and tactics. He created an elite force of mounted archers and used war chariots with blades attached to the wheels. Cyrus used his charisma as a leader to inspire his troops. As such, he could move his armies quicker than his enemies. Using his military supremacy, Cyrus set his sights on Babylon and the Neo-Babylonian Empire. After seizing the city of Opis, Babylon fell without a fight. According to an artifact written in Babylonian cuneiform known as the Cyrus Cylinder, Cyrus and his army entered Babylon in peace amidst joy and jubilation. If this all sounds a little familiar, it may be because a couple of hundred years later, Alexander the Great would lead forces who could travel quicker than expected, and was also welcomed into Babylon after defeating the Persians. After taking Babylon, Cyrus famously liberated the Babylonian Jews, who had been held captive by Nebuchadnezzar II after the Temple of Jerusalem was destroyed 70 years earlier. In the Old Testament, Cyrus is described in the book of Isaiah as being anointed by God to subdue nations before him and strip kings of their armor. Cyrus had created one of the largest ancient empires the world had ever seen, declaring, "I am Cyrus, king of the universe." The Achaemenid Empire stretched from the Aegean Sea to the Indus River. After his death, the Persian Empire reached new heights and created new enemies. Although Cyrus is thought to have died around 530 BCE, how exactly it happened is a mystery. The most common account is that he was injured in battle and died from his wounds. The Achaemenid Empire was arguably the world's first superpower, and they undoubtedly inspired the Macedonians and the Romans in their quest for domination. Cyrus the Great united a group of semi-nomadic tribes and built an empire worthy of conquering. Given the Greeks' respect for Cyrus I, it seems natural to assume that much of the bad blood between the Greeks and the Persians came from a rivalry of nations rather than good defeating evil. In fact, many of the Macedonian tactics that united Greece could be said to have come straight from Cyrus's playbook. Indeed, the Persians were no more brutal than the Greeks, so if history portrays the Persians as merciless conquerors, then the same could be said of the Greeks and Macedonians. It is interesting to imagine how the Persians would be portrayed if their empire had won out against the Macedonians. Perhaps if Alexander had lived, he would have been able to unite the two great nations into an unstoppable force, and the world would look very different today. What is clear is that the Achaemenid Empire was a product of its time and a forerunner to many more famous empires. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about the Achaemenid Empire, check out our book, The Achaemenid Empire, a captivating guide to the First Persian Empire founded by Cyrus the Great, and how this empire of ancient Persia fought against the ancient Greeks in the Greco-Persian Wars. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.